a doozy, y'all. And I'm gonna try to do landscape and see if
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. First thing, I'd like to ask Lee Holby to lead us in prayer.
If you would, bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you, Lord God, for just your goodness and your grace. We thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. Lord, we come to you tonight on behalf of the citizens of Helena, and we just ask, Lord God, that you grant us the wisdom and knowledge to represent them well, to lead well. We pray, Lord, for revelation of anything that we need to be able to effectively follow your plan for our citizens in our city. Lord, I pray that your hand of protection would be upon every single person here tonight, their family. I pray, Lord God, your blessing over them. And Lord, we love you, praise you, and we ask this in your Son's perfect name. Amen.
Amen.
Now we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Miss Mallory Puckett, one of our tennis stars, is going to lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mallory. Next, we have council roll call. Here.
Here?
Joseph,
Here.
Bankley,
Here.
Woodman,
Here.
I think we have a quorum. All right, next we have the presentation of the minutes from April the 11th. Y'all all had a chance to review those. Any questions, any concerns?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from April the 11th.
I'll second.
And we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we approve our minutes. Next is our revenue report and our bill payment. Again, you've had a chance to look over that. I know some of you had questions and hopefully had them answered. Any other discussion on our
I'll
bills?
make a motion, we approve the revenue report and bill payments for the month.
I'll second.
We've had a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're gonna pay our bills. We're flush for another month, right? Huh? Next, we have our municipal operations report, which the mayor is going to give to us. Turn it over to you.
I'll make this real quick because I know there's a lot of people crammed in here. Pete, we're not over capacity, are we?
I'm not counting.
Okay, good. So let's give a quick update.
I don't know what
The
it's
fire
doing.
department, did have two of their firefighters go through and finish up some training, some ropes courses, ropes training for swift water, and then also Jacob Mueller completed his Inspector 2 for fire training. The mowers, I appreciate y'all approving last meeting, those did come in, so we appreciate that for Parks and Rec and Streets Department. The bridge over the Cahaba River, they are paving it this week, hopefully they'll be done by the end of the week. So, any and all messages can go to the county for that. So, we do apologize for the inconvenience, we know that that's happening, and hopefully we'll have water roads and a bigger bridge here soon. And then also the shameless plug on the weekly emails that come out as part of Helena magazine. Please sign up for that. Michelle, ready to sign up for it?
They can call me.
Okay.
So we can reporter and
Okay.
can sign it up.
Awesome. So each week, important information goes out on
This is
Wednesdays.
getting on my nerves.
We're actually focusing on infrastructure. We went through all the road projects last week. In the email this week, we'll be going over all the utility projects. So a lot of great information to stay on board. That's all I got.
All right. Well, now we're getting ready to have the Helena Middle School show, which I'm delighted to do this. The first group that we're going to be talking about is the middle school girls tennis team. And I used to let Brian say this, but I'm just going to tell you they first placed in the Southern Conference Championship. That's awesome. If you girls want to come up and I'll turn it to you, Mayor, now. I'm sorry.
So we have, obviously I got my cheat sheet on everything, so it makes my life easier, but We have the Helena Middle School tennis team, coached by Coach Lackey and Coach Ricky Lambert. Really successful this season. The girls team took on the overall winning team score for every match that they played this entire season, both in singles and in doubles. This group of girls, different experience, age levels, all worked hard all spring and motivated each other on and off the court. The season ended with the girls placing first place in the Southern Conference tournament for the middle school earlier this month. This is only the second time that the Helena School has won this title of Southern Championship. So give us a round of applause. So congratulations, ladies, on all of your hard work. And the great thing is I was able to get to see every match. So I know how good y'all are. So if y'all want to come on over here. And then you'll bring it up to this. That's how it is. You got a sponge in, a scooch in. So congratulations on all of your success this season. Hopefully next season you'll repeat, right? For everyone that's here still. You'll have the 8th graders moving on. So congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Helena Middle School softball team for their perfect season and their Southern Conference Championship. So we ask the Helena Middle School softball team to come forward. Woman, you ready to come forward? Can they come forward and then you talk?
Can we switch something up?
Sure.
Can we switch Sanders?
Yes, girls, wait a second. Coach Sanders, we would like to see you first, please. Stand there.
You can't go anywhere. This is an embarrassment moment for you. So before we brought the softball team up here, we really wanted to recognize you, Coach Sanders, for all of your success on the field each and every year. I know because I get to hear from my kids what all you do during the day, driving buses, teaching school all day, and then making sure all of these girls are up to the standards you have of them competing on the field. But we also want to recognize you that you've been at the school for 21 years. Your record is 500, is that changed? Is it 502 now? 504? And 145. So you have a 92 game win streak. So haven't lost in 92 games. And since 2017, your record is 121-1. So congratulations to all of your success, because these girls come in each and every year, but you're building them as great players, but also with their character as well. So congratulations on your success.
Now your team can join you. Come on up, girls. And Coach Allen, too. You're awesome.
I think I can get y'all with y'all. Oh, that's awesome.
All right, y'all ready?
But before they walk away, let's hear the accomplishments that this softball team has had. I feel like I'm a talk show. Stand up. I am standing up. Short jokes today.
Yeah.
We want to recognize the middle school softball team for all their success this year. You again won the SoCon championship. We keep having to buy banners for you all, which is great because we enjoy buying banners from you. But all 5 of the tournaments that they played in this season, the Leeds, the Thompson, McAdory, Hoover, and the SoCon tournament, they won every single one of them.
Awesome.
The great thing is they scored over 300 runs this season, but only allowed 44 total runs. So that means out of all those games played, the opponents only scored 44 points. It's pretty dang good. So congratulations, lady, on all of your success this season, and we'll see a repeat next year too, right?
Grace.
Oh, wow.
We have 2 more of these that are waiting to be hung. So there's 3 total, and Coach Cummings wasn't able to get these up. But since Dr. Epps is here tonight, I think he can help us get these ready.
Where is Dr. Epps? I know he's in the audience.
There you go.
Stand up.
There he is. Okay, the recognition just continues on for this middle school group. Next, we've got the middle school baseball team, and they also won the Southern Conference Championship. And I love all these kids, but these boys know I'm pretty partial to baseball, so can't wait to see y'all going on and being on our high school team too. So if y'all would come up.
Absolutely. So we'll get the guys coming up. So we want to recognize the the Helena Middle School's baseball team. This year, their record was 17-5-2, and their conference record was 8-1, giving them the first seed of the SoCon tournament. They had to come from behind against Broadway to make the championship game by winning it 10-9, and then beat the school down the street for the championship game 9-3. So with the fantastic season that they had, the biggest highlight for them is they stole a team high 126 bases this season. That's some fast running.
While the mayor is coming down to get his picture made again.
Hey,
I'm gonna have to figure this one out.
Yeah. Yeah, some of you got to take a minute. I would like to tell all of you too, these boys hopefully will be going on, the ones in 8th grade, to play for the high school baseball team. And our high school baseball team right now is in playoffs, and the second round is Friday night. So I'm sure they would love to have a lot of you come out and support them. First game is at 4:30, and I have a feeling a lot of these boys might be there.
Is that it? Guys, congratulations on your success.
Thank you. Get that thing out of my way. That's one of my favorite city people right there, Bill.
These teams,
They're all
young
wonderful.
teams, a chance to get out, so before we continue on with our business. Right, and then the hallway visitors can,
Well done, y'all. Yeah, let me give Helena a wave, y'all. Oh, let me see that hand. It's just lots of ink without a Q-tip. Or not a Q-tip, a toothpick. It's just a random mistake.
The next item on our agenda is to approve or deny equipment building for Parks and Recreation of $12,861. Mayor, do you want to tell about that?
Yeah, so this is in addition to the storage facility they already have. This will be adding on to it, to be able to make sure that our equipment, stays nice and good and clean. Right, Bill? Yes. Got it. This is a when funds available item, that we are adding into the budget.
Right. Anybody have any questions?
This is approving an amendment to the budget.
Yes.
Yes.
So I will make a motion that we amend the budget and approve $12,861 for the equipment building at Park and Rec, or for Park and Rec.
I'll second.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, you've got your money. Next, we have on our agenda the second reading of our signed ordinance 888-2022. This is our second reading, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have my sheet about all the particulars of the signed ordinance in front of me, but anybody have any questions about it?
I think the only thing that we discussed in pre-council last time was just to get more details on the enforcement, back ends and stuff. So Mayor, just after we pass this, give some more information on that.
Okay.
I'll make a I'll make a motion that we approve sign ordinance 888-2022.
I'll second.
All right, we've had a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next item is the second reading of the transportation impact fee ordinance, which is 889-2022. Again, it is an impact fee that will aid us in our infrastructure.
Yeah, infrastructure, transportation, parks, recreation, all of that, it will be for new construction builds for the city.
Right, new construction builds. Okay, anybody have any questions about that? You'll have a chance to read it. Then I will entertain a motion that we approve transportation impact fee ordinance.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transportation impact fee ordinance 889-2022.
I'll second.
We've had a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Next, we have just the first reading of a parking ordinance 892-2022. No action will be taken on this, but it is just an ordinance, changing some of our parking structure for businesses. Is it just businesses?
It's actually all parking.
All parking in the city. And this is just our first reading, and it's available, would be available online if you would like to read it. So any of you have any questions about it? If not, it will be second reading and vote on it at our next meeting, which will be May the 9th. All right. The next thing on our agenda is approval of amendment to the ordinance 880-2021. Laura, I think you know about this, don't you, in this about the membership? No?
This board's in committees.
Yeah, the committee membership. Do we need to strike that?
Yeah, we could remove that from the council agenda.
Okay, we will remove that from our council agenda. All right, moving right along. We have the first reading for ordinance 893-2022A. Oh, no, forgive me, I got ahead of myself, I apologize. The next, we have the approval and denial of the rezoning request of ordinance 891-2022R, which is 4915 South Shakes Crest Road, from R1 to R6. And the planning and zoning meeting that was held on April 21st recommended denial. I know a lot of you are here to speak about that, so we're going to give you a chance to come forward and to speak. But I would ask you to limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes, and if it's already been said, we would appreciate it if you would, like, you could just say ditto or whatever, but, you know, so we don't repeat it, because if all of you talk, we'll be here at midnight. So do I have someone that would like to speak on either side of this ordinance? All right. State your name and your address, please.
Hi, City Council. My name is Ellen Kaiser, and I live at 110 Sterling Lakes Drive in Helena. The concerns that I have, number one is the spot zoning, and spot zoning is the process of singling out a small parcel of land for use classification, totally different from the surrounding area, which is what is happening. It is a small portion of land, and I will get to that in a minute, for the benefit of the owner of such property and to the detriment of other owners. So I'd like to show, if you don't mind if I could approach the bench, I'd like to show you pictures of our houses in our area. You can share the photos if you'd like. This is what our community looks like. So with that, it is spot zoning. It is that small portion of land in an HOA development. We do have an active HOA. We have an interim board. The HOA was filed, and that document number, just so it can be read in, is CK LR 200665 and Judge of Probate Mark Gaines recorded that on October 6, 2006. And I just moved into the area about 8 months ago. When I moved into that neighborhood, Zach Parrish is the manager of the Sterling Lakes LLC.
1 minute warning.
Okay, it was in such a state of disrepair that we've tried to clean up that neighborhood. There's concerns about infrastructure and safety. It's not set up for that. I will let the rest of the residents talk about credibility. A lot of the homes were unfinished. There were liens on, homes they could not close. And so I'm proposing and asking that the city of Helena oppose this rezoning. It is a detriment to the other homes in the area. It will impact the values of our homes. Thank you.
And I do have one question for you, surrounding an active HOA in that neighborhood. That's a big concern of me is ongoing, whatever gets built there, do we have ongoing support of that HOA? I would ask that you forward to this council copies of your ongoing minutes of your HOA's meeting and your active participation
Sure.
in neighborhood activity.
Absolutely. I could read just this one thing.
I think we're at time, but if you can just forward that.
Forward it to us, would be great.
Okay.
The
Thank you.
email, I very much appreciate it.
I do wanna say that the proposed building is not in alignment with the HOA at all.
Thank
It's a
thank you,
single
Ms.
unit.
Kaiser.
Thank you.
Council, I would like to address this ongoing issue. We did have our attorneys here present with us last Thursday. The 26 state case law, associated similar to this, legally, even advises that it does not expire. So I just want you all to be aware of that.
State your name and address.
Terry McElroy, 1036 Sterling Lake Circle. I just want to reiterate what Ellen has already stated about the neighborhood being in disrepair, things being a mess, needing to be cleaned up. I actually purchased my home out of foreclosure because there, like Mr. Parrish said earlier, there were a lot of neighborhoods where the developer went under, and there was a lot of liens on that developer as well. So many of us, or several of us in that neighborhood, purchased out of foreclosure and finished our homes to the standards of all the way down to which mailbox you put on the street. There have been other houses developed in that area which are very nice. I'm not sure they all follow exactly what that was supposed to be, but a development of this type to me is a real concern because it is totally out of character with anything in the area for miles in any direction. So I just wanted to reiterate that is my biggest concern. The traffic, the other issues with sewer, those are all concerns as well. But I do believe like this would affect our property values. We as residents are concerned about that, and we hope that you uphold the planning commission's recommendation and deny this in our opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McElroy. Your name and address, please.
Good evening, I'm Tim Weisenberger. I reside at 8515 Shady Trail in Timberlake subdivision in Helena with my wife. We moved to Helena more than 3 years ago and enjoyed the aesthetics of the area. I want to thank you for listening to the community input to this proposed rezoning. I am opposed to rezoning of the property to R6. High-density housing will increase the problems to the community, whether it's Helena, Shelby County, or Jefferson. I'm a retired environmental engineer with much work in wastewater. So one concern I had was how was the wastewater going to be handled from a high-density housing unit without access to municipal wastewater treatment. Talking with current residents, they have a septic tank, and then that drains downhill to the treatment facility. So it sounds like a septic tank with 20 units would also be needed for that conduit facility. Another important issue I have is the concern of the safety of the road travel on South Shades Crest. The proposers have stated that they think many people will be working at the new medical complex in Colorado will be interested in looking in the proposed condominium. First of all, the targeted market doesn't not necessarily equate to the actual buyers. But the proposers have said that they were not planning internally off of South Shades Crest, but to come into Sterling Lakes Road and access it that way. That's not gonna alleviate the traffic issues on South Shades Crest. You're still gonna have people backing up there. It's a very narrow road on a ridge with limited guardrails. The narrow road creates issues with commercial vehicles and delivery, and it's on a ridge. Jefferson and Shelby counties share the responsibility for this meandering road, and to be honest, the road maintenance is spotty. Speed limit varies along this winding road.
1 minute warning.
Which leads to speeding and tailgating. The road's not well lit, and additional traffic from multifamily housing will add to the traffic entering at a blind spot. There's no traffic light. With multiple school systems, they use that road, so you got multiple school buses going out there daily. I've driven South Shades Crest in the dark. It's not a real well lit road, from Morgan Road down to Bluffs Bridge. You know, if you want to drive that, I recommend you do that before passing the ordinance, but if you do, watch out for deer. Regarding the aesthetics of the area, the city government is charged with managing and enhancing the city. I don't see how this area would benefit by adding multifamily units to housing units at Sterling Lakes. Furthermore, the zoning would set up a precedent which would lead to additional requests for rezoning along South Shades Crest, which would further compound the traffic and the infrastructure issues previously mentioned. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Sandy Schmidt. I live at 4929 South Shades Crest Road, just a few hundred feet past the proposed property. I guess I could just say ditto to the previous speakers, but one thing I would like to point out, when we bought our property, or our home up there 46 years ago, the real estate agent disclosed that the woods were going to be subdivided and other homes built on that. And that's okay, that was our decision to go ahead and buy the house. This, I don't have a say in the condominium, other than my boys. So, I think all of us depend on the good sense of this council to protect what we move to the area forward. So, and my greater concern, as the second gentleman said, is other rezoning. This sets a precedent. We're aware already of developers from Georgia, from Mississippi, and Helena is well known throughout this nation as a good little town to live in. Well, it's growing, not little so much. And so it does attract the attention of out-of-state developers. And that, to me, even more important that you all do practice due diligence in making decisions about this. So I ask you to oppose the rezoning of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brady. Sir, your name and address, please.
My name is Stephen Shanks. I live at 504 Sterling Lakes Way. My wife and I were the first house purchased in Sterling Lakes 14 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. I also drive a school bus for Hoover, one of those school buses that go up and down South Shades Crest Road. I am familiar with that traffic situation. I'm gonna say ditto to everything. I don't have much new, except I would like to add, I'm sure you're aware that this application was made to Jefferson County before it was made to Helena. And Jefferson County declined to approve it for good reasons. So the zoning commission declined to approve it for good reasons. I would hope you would take that into serious account.
My name is Dr. Fred Halston. I live in the Glengate subdivision at 2878 Glengate Circle. when I first drove through that, subdivision before we moved there, I said, boy, they sure have big lots. What I found out later is the lots in between the houses wouldn't perk, so they couldn't build houses in the spaces that are between those houses. Well, I found out some personal experience too. I've had my field lines dug up and replaced twice in the over 15 years I've lived there because of the poor perkability of South Shades Crest Mountain. Anyway, I spent over $3,000 working on my own septic. What I understand, when you put in a multi-unit proposed building that the builder wants to do, they have to build their own separate sewage treatment facility for that many people. I get everything else, but I'm really concerned, especially about something like this going in there when I have had personal problems with perking my own septic tank system. Thank you.
My name is Stephanie Carter.
Can you speak just a little bit louder? Don't be afraid of us.
Okay, the first house owner, the address is 7744 South Crest Trail, which is the road right past the subdivision in question. And we purchased that house in 2006. And I can attest that the Sterling neighborhood was not finished. The roads are still not completed, and it's a little rough. The roads they're not great and stuff, and come a long way with people have purchased their own. I'll say I'm against the zoning change. I believe that high density housing tends to have higher crime rates, which can lead to higher police call volumes. I think the condos, since they would also have a parking lot, that could encourage loitering. People already speed up and down South Shades Crest horribly. There's not a lot of police patrol up and down there. I see Helena some, Shelby County never. Helping patrol that and just adding to everything. I wish I would, but please.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Pauline Long, and I live at 1017 Sterling Lake Circle. And I agree with what everybody else said. We purchased our home probably about 13, 14 years ago. And I'm a second generation homeowner. And so my husband and I are very proud. We worked very, very hard to purchase our home in Helena. I grew up in Bessemer right up the street. I went to Montevallo, so of course I traveled Helena almost every week going back and forth home. And just going back and forth, this is just somewhere where I wanted to live, where I wanted to raise my family in a single family home environment. Also, you know, as a child grew up near apartments and condos, and it's just, I wanted to raise my children, raise my family in a community like Helena, where homes around the area look like mine. And my husband and I worked very hard. And so this is just one thing, that's a personal note, but on a more business note, I want to just talk about zoning ordinances. And we just want homes built in our community that are aesthetically compatible to other homes in the community. When we bought into the community, we understood that it would be a single family dwellings. And to know now that multiple family dwellings are being considered, makes us very upset. So we just want homes that are compatible, that are equal to what's in the area. And that's what I have to say. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Kennedy, and I live at 2822 Glengate Circle, which is the neighborhood that backs up to the acreage that this property is on. So we back up to Sterling Lake pretty everywhere. And we bought that property specifically because of the large lots out there in the woods, and that it was a beautiful wooded area with a lot of nature. And when we were annexed into Helena, that was a whole different administration, but the mayor did say that he was working hard and would keep working hard to get us into the Helena school system, and he would go to Montgomery and fight for that. That was naive on our part to have thought that we could ever get into the Helena school system, but that is the selling point. That is how people houses sell quickly, because they're in a Helena school district. and that's why prices are as high as they are in the Helena School District. We don't have any of those benefits. You know, we're in the city of Helena, but we have very few of the benefits of being in Helena. So I ask you that you protect the one thing that we do have as being part of the city, is that you maintain the quality and the single-family rural area that it is, and not introduce multifamily, change any kind of zoning to multifamily anywhere out there, because there is other acreage, and if you zone one thing, then people are gonna say, well, you know, you did it for them, and so I think it's a terrible precedent to set, and we all love that area because of the way it looks, and we don't want it to change to multifamily.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Boggs, and I live at 120 Sterling Estates Drive. And without question, I completely disagree with or oppose the proposal to create this multi-family facility, without question. I agree with everything that's been said up to this point. I'd like to share with you my personal story and how it affects what an additional issue is for me, and that is the integrity of the gentleman behind this particular proposal. My family and I moved here from California 14 years ago. My sister and brother-in-law, Tim and Tammy Jenry, have been very much integral members of the Helena community for probably 35 years at this point. My husband fell ill in California, was a sheriff, and did not have a reasonable life expectancy. We were 5 hours from a heart transplant site where we were in California. We decided to take his California retirement and get me and the kids settled where we could function better financially. And also put him near UAD for the care. Of course, with my sister and brother-in-law having been established in Helena, she found us a rental, which was close to home, so we rented for the first year as we decided where we were going to land. Without question, we fell in love with the community immediately, and we have since bought 3 homes in this community. We are in love with Helena. I've always called it our little Mayberry. We've been back to California one time in 14 years because we just don't want to leave here. We are in Sterling Estates, we are in what we consider to be our final home. If it kills us, we're not moving again. But even, we've only been in this house for 15 months. Soon after, when we were looking at this house, we felt like the Sterling Estates community, Sterling Lakes community was just, it had an abandoned feel. I didn't like it for that reason. And we bought anyway because the house checked a lot of boxes that we needed. And in doing so, after being here for a short while, we fell in love with the community. David and Ellen Kaiser moved in from Washington State, invested in the community sight unseen, and they led this entourage of community involvement that has been the best thing ever for our community. We don't want to mess with the culture of this. And I have since, I want to mention too about the HOA really quickly, that we did not know, Mr. Van Cleve, we did not know that there was an HOA in existence until a couple of days ago, because we had all been told in our purchase transactions that it did not exist. It does exist, so we have immediately formed a temporary board for that, and we intend to enact it immediately because we want to use what we have rights to through the HOA that supposedly exists. And through that right, according to this provision right here, we are able to lock this or have a say in locking this if possible.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Pierce, would you like to, never mind. If anyone else is wanting to speak opposing this, if you would want to come forward.
Johnny Mullis and my husband Danny Mullis. I heard everything down, so ditto to what everybody else has said so far, and just wanted to tell you our little story. We moved here in the Timberlake subdivision, which is part Shelby County and part Jefferson County. Just over 3 years ago, after looking very chose here is the fact that it was single-family residential homes and beautiful scenery from the mountain. We paid a pretty good amount for our house, as I'm sure everyone else in here has done as well. If we wanted to move into a condo apartment, we would have looked somewhere closer to town and zoned for an apartment or condo. The fact that this situation has even come this far is already a major concern to all of us residential homeowners. None of us wants a multifamily condo apartment in their backyard or as a neighbor. I certainly don't want this zoning changed. There are plenty of areas where an apartment or condo building can go, but this is not one of those places. We work very hard on maintaining our beautiful house and trying to keep up the value of it for its possible resale down the road, and this rezoning could cripple us all. Nobody wants this rezoning changed here. Would you wanna live in a place that has a condo apartment building in your backyard?
Mr. Mayor, board members, my name is Mike Bonner, and I reside at 552 Sterling Lakes Way. I'm the sole proprietor of Helena Exotic Limousine Service. I've been living in Sterling Lakes for over 12 years, and I love the city. And I'm quite sure the people behind me love the city as well. So basically what I want to say is that you guys put these apartments up, or condos, whatever you want to call them, that's going to be a lose for my community. We are here to win. We're here to work with Helena in any type of way. We want to move forward. Build these apartments or condos is not in the direction you want to go in. Let me just read you a little something if I can blow it up. We have to be careful in building certain things in Helena, basically because of the structure and the value of the neighborhood. We don't want to just build anything to create, just to say we got apartments to invite anybody to live there, because then we change the value of our homes. With that said, it's gonna become a traffic issue, which is gonna be trouble, and that's gonna create a problem within the road itself. But my main concern is safety. Safety of the neighborhood. You're inviting a different type of people to live basically in our neighborhood. They pay $500 a month, we pay $2,000 a month. I might as well sell my house, move to apartments, and live in the same neighborhood. So basically, I oppose this, deny it, and hopefully we move forward with something else.
Thank you.
Warren Grayson, I live at 500 Sterling Lakes Way. Just moved there in January with my wife, my 1-year-old daughter. When she's pregnant, I have another one. So I just want to be on record today. I agree with everything everybody said. I don't want to see it happen, and I hope that you turn it down.
Thank you.
Consider myself as having lived in the neighborhood for my 58 years, and it would be a shame to rezone this area to condos that are out of keeping with the neighborhood. And I just want to go on record as being opposed to this and ask y'all to be good stewards of your citizens and of the area and the neighbors who live in these places. And also, I think it would be important for each person who, in my opinion, is opposed to come stand up here and just state your opposition. Just say, I'm opposed to this. If you're opposed to it, if you're for it, then you should have an equal voice. Thank you.
Thank you.
I live at 1054 Sterling Lake Circle, Helena, Alabama, with my husband, Dan Gambles, who's sitting on the road with me across the street from Melanie Grant, who lives at 1029 Sterling Lakes Way, and also Anita, and also Miss Long. They all have small children, so do we. In front of our home, there is a huge, huge pothole as big as from here to there. We have to drive around to get around the huge, huge pothole. Our children cannot play outside because of that pothole.
strongly protest against the building of these condominiums in our area and the rezoning. So I ask that you will deny the request for the safety of our children, and hopefully one day the roads will be filled in and our children can play in the cul-de-sac like other children who live in nice homes. Thank you all for your consideration.
And what cul-de-sac was that you said had the pothole?
It is at right in front of 1054 Sterling Lakes Circle.
It's more than a pothole, it's like no road.
It's the size of a car.
It's all
Yeah.
torn up.
Thank you.
It does.
Hi, my name is Mark Slay. I work live in 1087 Longwood Drive. And I want you guys to consider one thing. And the reason I spoke last is because this proposed development is 2.5 acres. My lot in Longleaf Lakes is 3 acres. I have one house. This 2.5 acres that they're proposing are gonna put 20 different families on 2.5 acres. This in no way makes any sense that you can actually put 20 condos on 2.5 acres. You know, with the parking lot, with all the infrastructure and the building itself, you know, it's just ridiculous to even think that you could jam that many people and that many residences on 2.5 acres. It just doesn't make any sense for this to be used for that purpose. That's all I have.
Good evening. I have just a few comments to follow up with, basically echo from our pre-meeting, that I have zero problem with someone showing up to oppose a plan that I'm laying forth, that I still believe in. I think it's appropriate. But I understand there's concerns, and I've got no problem with the purpose of this setting that we're in. But I would like to just be on record to state that I think it's absolutely unacceptable, some of the allegations that were started to be made about me, especially recently questioning my integrity with no follow-up whatsoever. There was also statements made of liens on my property. There are not liens. There were liens from the original developer of that property. I'd also like to add the pothole that just came up. It was nothing caused by me. We had those roads improved and accepted. There's a moratorium and purchased it. George Pickle came out and inspected the work that we had done, and it was complete. That pothole was more than a pothole. It's a sinkhole, essentially. And it's from my home that was recently constructed out there with large trucks turning around.
No, it's not.
Not for me. Not for me.
No,
I'm glad to
it's
meet
there
anybody
for
out there and
you.
show. Lastly, I've made every effort to try and help with the homeowners that have come and gone within Sterling Lakes. There's not an HOA. I hope for their sake there is. Good. If it's good for them, great, but there's not. I have made available the clubhouse and the facility since I've owned it on a reservation basis, free of charge. I've maintained the grounds there and maintained mulch and entryway all on my dime without participation from anybody.
We did the
who's ever
work,
asked for it.
just saying.
Yeah, that was this year. And I've been doing this since 2014, I think, since I've owned it. And not only for Sterling Lakes, but adjoining neighborhoods. Longleaf Lakes HOA has used that facility many times for their meetings. People that don't live in Helena or in the communities have used it for gatherings, birthday parties, showers. So I don't appreciate this painting of a picture of me that's been provided here. If you're against what I'm proposing, that's fine. That's okay. Be against it. But don't come and attack me like this. It's not fair. It's not right. Really, that's all I had to say. I'll close it.
I have a question. Have you thought of any other, besides the condos, has anything else been proposed to you, or you thought about to use for that land, for the 2.5 acres?
I've considered townhomes, but really, I mean, we put a lot of research into the condo. And there was a comment made last week of, well, if I have support, I know this is gonna work, where's my signature, where's the support? Well, we've done our due diligence to know that there's a demand, that it'll work, and I'm willing to invest almost $4.5 million to prove it. So there's a lot of reasons why. In closing, naturally, I want your support and hope that you can do it, and we can prove to everyone that it's a good quality product, but I'll yield to you here.
Thank you.
All right.
Committee and Mayor, I know I've already spoken, but I did want to attest, when I moved into the neighborhood in September last year, the neighborhood was in such a state of disrepair, there were broken signs, the roads were disrepaired. The improvements that were made, the entrance to the Sterling Lakes Way, our HOA, interim HOA, we hauled out 12 truckloads of brush that was just littering the entrance of the Sterling Lakes Way. Right
Okay,
now,
ma'am, and I don't mean to cut you short, but, and I do understand how much work that y'all have done, but what's said before us is a rezoning thing, and I understand a lot of the problems y'all had, but that's something that really is not before us tonight.
this impacts the rezone, and I do wanna let you know, I did get a hold of Mr. Parrish, and the Sterling Lakes entrance sign, anybody can go out there and look at it. I have text that I sent him, the stack stone is still coming off, the light for the
Well, and that would
lighting
be
is
something
broken.
between the two of you.
I just wanna let you know that everything that has been stated, and all of these residents that have been
Yes,
here
ma'am, I
for
know
years, okay? The other thing I wanted to bring is Mr. Parrish went ahead and mentioned that the apartments or the condos are gonna start at 210. Well, in the meeting minutes on Thursday, it was recorded, they were gonna start for sale at 160. And then also.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second, and I'm so sorry to do this. We have other guests that need to talk and haven't been given their 3 minutes. Typically, it's just one time
Sure.
at the podium for 3 minutes. Also, what I would love to do is just ask a question. There have been a lot of concerns expressed, and we hear them for sure. In an effort to kind of help, because I know there are a lot of you, by a show of hands, who objects to this that lives here in Helena?
That lives in Helena.
Yes, if you live in Helena. Okay, thank you. If you could allow the next person to speak, I'm so
Can
sorry.
I just let you know that one last
No,
thing?
ma'am, thank you. State your name, sir, and your address.
I'm William Davis, 133 Countryside Lane. We've been in Helena now about 5 years. We asked for that, and we are accepted us. You're doing a great job as a town. We, on our street, and myself, oppose any multifamily dwellings down South Shadesbury. It is not consistent with what the area is built up to be. We're a single family road, and most of the offshoots are single family. Counting 1 or 2 parents who live with us and such. Thank you. Hope to make you like
Where my phone, y'all don't have it.
Y'all gotta be loud.
Yeah, my name's Howie Howell, I live at 4013 Oklahoma Parkway. And so this stuff is not right next to me. However, I did and have a lot of my life lived next to things like this, and you cannot, you think you know, but you don't. There's just extra police being called for when there's disputes, ambulances coming, because you just have more people jammed. And they're gonna hear it all night, you live by these things, if you've ever lived by one of these places. And I'm with what all they said, we came here to invest here. My wife's a doctor at UAB School of Medicine, a faculty member, and I'm a previous owner of the largest wholesale mattress business in the whole Southeast. I came here to invest. I also have 2 extremely gifted children. I came here to beat Oak Mountain. I chose Helena because they will never see me coming, because we're just off the map a little bit coming up. And I'm not kidding. I came here to take some serious science and engineering trophies to this school. They all seem to have the athletic side covered. That's my plan, and I've come here to build a business also. But I'm not about to sink the kind of money I've got to businesses if you're not going in the right direction. And I can afford to live anywhere in this state that I want to. Matter of fact, I could have my kids down at the engineering and science thing in Mobile. They were offered that. But we chose here. We really chose here.
And so, please, you know, I'm here for them. They live next door to it. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine where I'm sitting. But I came here because they're going to be living inside it. Do the right thing so that I can invest in you doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
I'm Lynn Shanks at 504 Sterling Lakes Way in Helena. My husband and I were the very first ones to purchase a home in the neighborhood. At that time, it was a pristine neighborhood, beautiful. Everybody would have wanted to live there. Then the economy tanked and the developers and the contractors, builders all went under, either under foreclosure or bankrupt. And then it was purchased from the bank. Now my husband and I knew when we purchased the home almost 15 years ago that there was an HOA. However, we never paid 1 cent because we were the first homeowners, and the developers said we didn't have to because there was all the facilities, but no one there to share them with us yet because no one else had moved in. So the first year we were excused from making the $500 payment. After that, some more homes were built, and some of the homeowners who are no longer there in the neighborhood did pay. However, we were never able, once things were foreclosed and the bank took over, we couldn't use the facilities, the swimming pool or anything else. And everything started to go haywire. The landscaping was never done, the playground was never maintained, and then it was bought privately, I believe by Mr. Parrish, from the bank. And there was not an HOA, as far as I know. I have never paid 1 penny for it. And nothing really was maintained. When Mr. Parrish took over, some of the building that was not completed, the roads were not finished. They weren't under good repair because of all the workers and the trucks and stuff. So he did do some repair work and patchwork on that. He also did put in some street lights by request of some of the first homeowners. But then that was it. He built a couple of homes, but it was never pristine like it was. It was really under ill repair, and eventually those that he said who came in the neighborhood or from other surrounding neighborhoods to use the playground did not come anymore. It was nothing but weeds, and no one wanted to go between the bugs or the snakes that were there. So for years it has not been maintained. However, I will say this year, this spring, it has been taken care of and trimmed and maintained to look almost as it did 14 years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have time for one more. One more. Yes.
I guess I just want to ask a question about the George Pickle. Is he an inspector for the city of Helena?
He was.
Okay, so at the time, I guess he was an inspector, and he also worked as a foreman for Zach Parrish. Ain't that a conflict of interest?
I have no idea. I'll be the first one to tell you, I have no idea.
He's no longer here with us.
Right.
But he was there at the time I purchased my home. He was still working for the city of Helena. Yes. He worked as a foreman for Zach Parrish or whatever, because that's who I was dealing with, like with the repairs of my home. But I just want to go on record saying that there was a conflict of interest.
First of all, I want to thank all of you for being very orderly and saying your opinion, and we definitely have been listening and making notes. Council, what we have is a rezone request of ordinance 891-2022R, 4915 South Chase Crest, and from R1 to R6. And we have planning and zoning recommended a denial. Laura, I'm gonna turn it over to you to state.
Okay. Hal, did you have a question or
Oh,
comment?
I'm sorry.
I'll save my comments.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, I just wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to speak. You got it. Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to deny the rezone request, to R6 for the property located at 4915 South Shades Crest Road.
I'll second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. We will do a roll call vote.
Woodman,
I affirm the denial.
Olson,
I also affirm the denial.
Banksley,
I affirm the denial.
Joseph,
I affirm the denial.
LaBelle,
I affirm the denial. So at this time, the rezone request has been denied. All right, Mr. Parrish, are you withdrawing the annexation request?
I don't know at this time. I wanna explore it.
So you wanna withdraw from that right now? Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is another rezone request for ordinance 890-2022R for 2698 Helena Road from R1 Special District, which I understand will be Special District with B1 intent. Is that right? Okay. Is there anyone that would like to speak about this rezoning? No?
Where's this
rezoning?
Where is it? Next to Chick-fil-A? Next to.
This is the rezoning on Helena Road. 261. Okay. We would appreciate it if y'all would not leave until we finish. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 890-2022R-2698 Helena Road, from R1 Special District to,
Yeah, from R1 to.
So, let me make sure that I understand your motion correctly. You've made a motion to approve the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission to rezone the property located at 2698 Helena Road from R1 to Special District of a B1 nature, B1 intent, including a 30-foot planted buffer and a 6-foot privacy fence, as recommended by the Helena Planning and Zoning Commission. Is that correct?
that is correct.
I will second that motion.
Laura, before you do that, can I ask a question? Where is this property?
On Main Street,
It's on
right at the
Highway
end of all the
261.
businesses.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. We'll call for a roll call vote.
Woodman,
Yes.
Olson,
Aye.
Banksley,
Yes.
Joseph,
Aye.
LaBelle,
Yes.
I will say it was a bittersweet win. It's not what I wanted, and you all know that.
We do
But we
understand.
have to accept what comes our
We do
way.
understand that. And I do applaud the two main parties for coming to an agreement. Thank you very much. Okay, so, sorry, I've got so many notes. Ordinance 890-2022R has been approved. All right, now.
And we will be notified when site plan and development starts so that we can.
Right, the next step will be site.
I would recommend, keep an eye out for the Planning and Zoning Commission's meetings. They're usually the third Thursday.
You can subscribe on the
I
website.
look, I mean, I
for
do, it's
minutes.
on there, but. you know,
Yeah, they'll email you
Yeah.
every time they have a meeting what the agenda is.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, what is the disposition of the approval or denial of 893-2022A, the annexation portion of 4915 South Shade Crest? The gentleman left the room.
He withdrew it.
So we're withdrawing.
So we're withdrawing.
Otherwise, we
nobody said he didn't withdraw it, but if you do the annexation without the freeze on, it will come in as A1.
He did actually say he's not ready at this time, he was withdrawing it, he needed to think
Yeah,
through his
I thought he
options.
said withdraw.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Alice. Ask for clarification. So since he withdrew it, what's the time limit for him to have to apply again? Is it 6 months?
They
or
said
is it
last
just-
Thursday, 6 months.
It is 6 months on the pre-zone request. The annexation request is still.
Still out as long.
He can come back.
Thank you.
But it is 6 months on the pre-zone request.
And since by Helena ordinance, annexed property comes in with a pre-zoning recommendation from the planning and zoning board, unless that would be different. This shouldn't appear before us for another 6 months.
Thank you.
The pre-zone request cannot be requested again for 6 months, that's correct.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. All right, moving right along, Grady Thornton, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
Grady is a candidate for the Alabama Republican Executive Committee, place 7.
And I have never felt so anticlimactic in my life.
Just shows you're in favor of rezoning.
They knew I was here, so they left. I'm Grady Thornton. I live in the old Hobba division of Helena. And I don't think I can pass it through council, but I've told my wife that when I die, I want to be buried in the backyard because I don't want to leave Helena. The position I'm seeking is on the ballot May 24th, and it's the most boring, mundane position on there. It's unpaid, unreimbursed, and sometimes unappreciated. I'm seeking a position on the Republican Executive Committee of the state of Alabama. Each political party has an executive committee that helps form policy, platform, and so forth. We meet and we help plan the platforms of what each party does. I'm seeking the Republican nomination. I want to tell you just a minute about why I think I'm qualified for this, and I'm not boasting, but I just want you to understand what's led me up to this point. Next thing I want to say, I was here at the last meeting, and one of the counselors called up 2 young men, and I promise you, one of those names sounded like Grady. It wasn't Grady, but I held up one of my campaign cards and waved it around and said, "Let's go Grady," and it wasn't me that they were calling up. Apologize to council for that. But anyway, I grew up in rural Coosa County. I'm a country boy, and I'm glad of it. My home was an adequate home. It was great back then. We did not have hot water. We didn't have an indoor bathroom. Our outhouse was built by the WPA, and some of you might be old enough to remember that. Some of you read about in history books. My mother was raised in poverty, and they say my father was a moonshiner at some point. I don't know that for sure. But we lived very meagerly. I went to Coosa County High School in Rockford. I was president and vice president of my classes. At various times, I went to Alexander City Community College. I was the first lab assistant in the psychology lab under Dr. Donalds. I went to UAB. I majored in psychology and philosophy. I got a master's in counseling. And my first professional job was at a suicide prevention crisis intervention center. I then went to mental health. One of the things I'm most proud of is I helped form the first domestic violence prevention program in Jefferson County. I helped screen the volunteers, I trained them, I became a volunteer, I eventually was president of the board of directors. I also went from there into working with juveniles, at-risk juveniles. My first job in a school was here in Shelby County. It was known as the day program at that time. It was an alternative school. I went to Jefferson County, worked a similar program with pretty much a different clientele. I've been in the most dangerous and the most affluent communities in each county. I ended up working as a Sunday school teacher. I have been, I've officiated funerals, not a minister, but I've done that. And the reason I tell you all about this is because I think it's important that people who make policy have a
finger on the pulse of the problems of Alabama. I've seen the problems firsthand. I've seen the good things happen firsthand. I have devoted my life to volunteer work. The position I'm seeking will help me use my experience to help form platforms that will benefit the people of Alabama at every social and economic level. I feel very strongly about what I do. I enjoy, as a personal note, I enjoy photography. I was photographer and journalist at Birmingham International Raceway for 30 years.
Randy, I'm gonna give you one more minute.
Thank you. Worked with each member of the Alabama gang through photography and journalism. What I want to do is put all this to work for you. And I'm near the bottom of the ballot, but I'm the only Grady on the ballot. So I want to thank council, and you guys have been phenomenal. I saw the backbone of democracy tonight. Want to end by saying, let's go Shelby County, let's go Alabama, and let's go Grady.
Bill Dunn, you here. Bill is a candidate for district judge. So we get the judges.
Thank you very much for allowing me to come and speak to these kind of people. I'm with Grady in the disappointment, of course, because I thought everybody had looked at the agenda online, had seen my name in here, was like, I need to go hear from this guy. And then I find out it's all about your wonderful athletic kids, and then some controversial things that you may have going on. Anyway, my name is Bill Dunn. I'm running for district judge for Shelby County. The seat currently held by Judge Kramer. He'll be retiring at the end of his term. This seat has traditionally been, for the last 40 years almost, the juvenile court portion of Shelby County that deals with juvenile delinquencies, juvenile dependencies, truancy, paternity, child support, and that has been the focus of this position. A little bit about my background. I grew up in Cobble Heights, and after graduating high school, I went off to Mississippi State where I earned my undergraduate degrees. And while there, I got an undergraduate degree in business management. I spent the next 10 or 12 years or so in business, managing businesses, and actually came back to Birmingham, or back to Alabama to start my own company, and successfully managed and ran my own company. I worked my way through law school without incurring any debt whatsoever. While I was in law school during my final year, I had learned about the CASA program, Court-Appointed Special Advocates. Those are volunteers that advocate for children in the juvenile court system. And I became a volunteer under Judge Patty Smith's guidance. And that's when I first connected with and first started working in the District Court of Shelby County in the juvenile court system. Of course, after I passed the bar, Judge Smith was kind enough to appoint me to represent parents and in some cases the children. And I spent 6 or 7 years working with her before she went on to the Supreme Court. It was that opportunity to work with Judge Smith and see her passion for the children and families of Shelby County that in essence drove me or inspired me to spend probably 70–80% of my career, of my time as an attorney, focused on children and families in Shelby County. I've been there for 25 years now. There's not a single role within that court system that I haven't played. I'm currently a guardian ad litem. I've been doing that for the last 3 or 4 years. But I've been an attorney for the Department of Human Resources. I've seen it from that perspective. I've been an attorney for parents, petitioners, custodians. I've seen it from that perspective. The children themselves, which are my favorite clients, no doubt. Juvenile delinquents. I've handled juvenile delinquency for years and have seen the situation with those kids. Truancy court, the whole gamut I've handled within the juvenile court system, except for the district judge. There's 5 candidates running for this position. I have more experience, both in terms of numbers of cases and in years, than all of the other candidates combined. I've done thousands of cases. And my experience in this court, combined with my leadership and management experience, puts me in a position where I'm ready to go in there day one and start going to work.
Bill, I'm gonna give you one more minute.
Now, there's a lot of stories, I'm sure, that go around about the juvenile court system, that it's not very fast. It's not, there's little people, I'm sure many of you have heard stories about people sitting in hallways for hours. And that's not a good thing, that's not proper. That's where I think my leadership and management experience, one of my objectives, day one in there, is to increase the efficiency of this court without sacrificing child safety and welfare. Because if you do that, there's no purpose for the courts. This is all about the kids, and every position I've had, whether it was a parent attorney, the Department of Human Resources, the guardian ad litem, or the delinquent attorney, it's always the kids. That's what the focus is. You just have a different way of meeting the needs. As a parent attorney, I try to guide the parents to see the mistakes that they had made, the reason why they were involved. And there's nothing really, for me, warmer than getting to the end of the case and watching kids go back home to mom and dad.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now you get to hear us talk for our council comments. I'm gonna let Councilman Halsey go first.
Thank you, Alice, I appreciate that. I don't usually go first, but I have, my daughter is a senior and she's playing her very last home game right now here in Helena, so she's kind enough to let me go first so I can exit as soon as I'm done. I would love to say congratulations to all of the Helena Middle School teams. Very proud of them. I've actually known Coach Sanders for many, many years, and he is a man of high character and integrity. I have the utmost respect for that man and his family, and it shows in everything that he touches. It really, truly does. So I applaud him for living his life the way that he does. He honors our Heavenly Father quite well, and I think that we are very privileged to have him here in Helena, particularly leading a lot of our middle school kids, but also leaders for our future. So I want to applaud him for that. I also would like to say thank you to everyone that spoke tonight. It's a challenging evening. It's really an honor and privilege to be able to do the work that we do on behalf of you. Sometimes it's exactly what you want. Sometimes it's a compromise, and it's not exactly what you want. I hate when that happens. It's always great when we can get it right for like everybody, like perfect. But I do want you to know that I appreciate Ms. Jenny and Ms. Francis, your effort to come to the table and negotiate. I appreciate that from Mr. Ward Webster as well. I think that speaks volumes to both of those families, and I applaud you guys for that, so thank you for that. Even though I know it is, as you said, Ms. Francis, it is very bittersweet. I agree with you. Anyway, I appreciate the work that we did together tonight, guys. Hard night for us, but it was good work on behalf of our citizens, and it's a privilege and honor. So, thank you. I'm going to excuse myself.
Ms. Hines, thank you so much for your willingness to come to the table of compromise and to bring this issue to resolution. We love you, we love your family's contribution to the city, and I look forward to, for you to be able to pass this. We appreciate you so much. For those of you who are here tonight from the South Shades Crest area, it really is a representation of government in action, of a citizen advocacy. You know, and I believe that begins, at least in this area, with a very vibrant HOA association. And I applaud your efforts to kickstart that back into efforts. When you begin to take control of your grounds, maintenance, by virtue of your contribution, you're not so reliant on a second or third party to do that. So I applaud those efforts and look forward to hearing the good things that come out of that. So thank you all again so much. Much appreciated.
I'm gonna try my very best to be brief.
Go ahead and sit back.
No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. So first off, I'd like to say thank you to Helena's Diversity and Inclusion Board. They put on Helena's very first International Unity Festival this weekend. It was a great success. And I'm very, very proud of them and the hard work that they have done to bring such an event to our community. It is new. It brought in a lot of people who we don't usually see around community events, and to me that was really refreshing and spoke to the success of the event. I want to also let you know that it is a great time to renew your library card. Summer reading time is coming up. The summer reading program will kick off this summer in June. In the meantime, the library is selling tickets for $5 to the Belk fundraiser. And you can see Dan right here, wave Dan. And visit the library to receive your ticket there. I would also like to congratulate Coach Sanders on his 500+ wins. He's my daughter's bus driver, or was before she went to high school, and she had nothing but glowing reviews for him. He is a truly wonderful man. And I wanted to say thank you to all of the residents who came out tonight for not only choosing to learn and to give up your time to be here to advocate for what you believe is right for the city, but also for reaching out to us and for your prayers as the council learned all that we could about two very controversial issues. It truly does weigh heavily on our hearts, and you know, your thoughts and your prayers and your concern were definitely felt. So I wanted to thank you for that as well. And with that, I will conclude my comments. Alan, you're up.
Thank you. Of course, I want to echo the comments that my fellow council members have said. There was a young woman who said that she was nervous to come up here and talk to us. I do want to say that we work for you. You hired us. We're here to represent y'all. It's not an easy job. You know, you do something right in Helena, no one comes and pats your back. But when you make a mistake as a council on decision with zoning, that mistake's there for 50 or 60 years. So we've got to use a lot of wisdom and patience before we commit to ideas. And we appreciate you as our employers for coming here and telling us, you know, making sure that we get the job done. So thank you for coming.
In my own words, I will say ditto to everything that they said. I will not elaborate on anything else, but I do need to say one thing. I need to give a shout out to Ace Hardware here in Helena. They donated some stain for my teen council to be able to stain the gazebo that's out by the library. So when you get your library card, you can go by the gazebo and see the newly stained gazebo, which will be there in a couple weeks, I think. So anyway, shout out to them, because that's what Helena's all about. We help each other. And with that, this meeting's adjourned.
Y'all have a good night.